our producer, Brad, wants to know how Revenge of the Nerds came about.
The title of the film was so off-putting to me, I didn't even want to meet. But my agent convinced me I should at least go meet them. So I go to 20th Century Fox on my motorcycle. This is pre-helmet era in California. So my hair is just like, and I walk in and I meet Jeff Canoe, the director. And I don't know, we don't really get along per se. And the meeting ends, and I go back out and I get on my bike. I go, that ain't going anywhere. So they want to have me come back in and audition. And I don't want to do that. My agent says, listen, this is a studio film. You really need to go in on this. I said, okay, so I don't want to leave anything to chance. I'm going to show these suckers. So I get my hair cut in a regular boy's haircut, which is really short. And I went to an optometrist shop, and I got the glasses that I wore in the movie. In fact, when I went into the optometrist shop, I'm looking at all these frames, and they're like $300-400. I can't believe it. And the optometrist says, well, you can't put just anything in front of your eyes, young man. I said, well, I'm playing a nerd. I didn't even want to say it out loud. So he says, oh, a nerd. I'm like, yeah. He goes in the back of his business, and he comes out with a shoebox, and he blows the dust off the top, opens it up, and it's full of those glasses that engineers wear at NASA. And I put them on, I go, perfect. So I go to the audition. This all happened on the same day. I go to the audition, and they walk out of the office to get me. They look right at me, they look the other way, and they go back in. I'm like, wow, that's weird. So it happens again. I go, excuse me, I have a 2 o'clock with you guys? They go, Bobby? I go, yeah. And they go, oh my God. And they take me into the office. I do a lackluster audition, but I get the job.
Right, because don't you think that, you've done a little bit of directing, and I've done a bunch of directing and casting and acting. I really think that way more than 50% is the look.
So I got the part, and there's a thing in the script that refers to my character as having a honking laugh. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't even really worry about it. And it's the day before we're going to start shooting, and we're having like a kickoff party. And I said to the director, Jeff Canoe, I said, hey man, I don't have the laugh. He goes, you don't? I said, no. He says, here, watch this. And he stuck in the audition tape from James Cromwell, and James Cromwell's doing the laugh. I was like,
wow.
Oh my God. So I find James on at the party. I go, hey man, your laugh is really fucked up. And he says, that's not my laugh. I go, it's not? He says, no. I said, it's a technique? He says, yeah. I said, oh, show me how to do it. So he taught me the laugh at the party. The next day, the first day of production, we're in the station wagon, and we're driving to school, got the cruise control locked on 35, let's run on up to 38. And we turn and look at each other, and we do the laugh in stereo. Oh.
All right, so if you do the laugh and then I do it, we'll be doing it in stereo. Will you give us the laugh?
Not
Is that
even
good?
close, no.
One more, how's it go? No?
Sorry, Richard.
That's the difference between a revenge nerd and a party nerd. A revenge nerd can do the revenge nerd laugh, a party nerd can drink. Something like that.
Something like that.
But did you give him some residuals for the laugh, or?
Well, if I had $1 for every time I was asked to do the laugh, I'd have a house.
A bigger house.
Bigger house, yes.
That's a life-changing movie, right? Because that's a huge hit. Like, that's why somebody like me was so excited to sort of be a nerd in high school.
Well, did you know that part of my deal on that show is I had a participation in the net returns on the movie.
Wow.
So the movie was shot for $6 million. It made $42 million, and it didn't turn a profit. Like, I'm getting these statements, and I'm watching the debt go lower and lower and lower, and it gets down to like, $100,000. I'm thinking, wow, next statement, I'm going to get a participation. I get the next statement, it's back up to $2 million.
Right, because the studios cross-collateralize their expenses over all the movies.
You know what they cross-collateralized us over?
What?
the Dolly Parton Sylvester Stallone movie, Rhinestone.
Right.
Right.
Because as a businessman, like, you have your own production company, I have my own production company. And like, if we make money on one project and we lose money on the other project, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
It just really pisses us off when a
Yeah, it
studio
does.
does it and we don't get to make money.
But on Nerds 2,
Uh-huh.
I had a percent of the gross that kicked in around 5 million and stopped at 20 million. This is a nice piece.
So it worked out.
It worked out. I mean, that amount of time that it took to make that money was about 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the second film made almost as much as the first.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's not as good a movie.
Revenge of the Nerds is good on so many levels. In fact, it's so good that you can't even find it streaming now because it's now controversial, right?
Yes, we did some stuff back then that they don't do now, and they don't approve of it now.
Right, and in some ways they're correct.
In
For
some
sure,
ways,
for
yes.
sure. And the same thing with me, with my ripoff, Assault of the Party Nerds. I mean, there's jokes in that film that make me blush. I'm like, what? How? What was I doing? Like, people's like, oh, we on the set last night. This art girl was talking to me. She goes like, Assault of the Party Nerds. I've seen the trailer and I've heard about it. I'm gonna go home and watch that tonight. And I said, no, I want you to like me on the next movie because our sensibilities have completely changed. But I'm against cancellation. I mean, I'm not going to stop distributing Assault of the Party Nerds and Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, it was a different time, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, Revenge of the Nerds is one of the funniest films to be made in the 80s.
And also, it birthed so many other ripoffs, other than mine. Mine's like the least important ripoff. But I mean,
Well,
it
you,
just
you
started
had the
these
name.
whole.
You had the name in your title.
Well, the thing that's interesting is that was a distributor, and it's talking about how the business works.
Yeah.
My movie was called The Last Party, and the whole idea was, well, that this lackluster fraternity, and I shot it at my fraternity house at USC. I shot it right after I got out of college. People asking which fraternity, like Mark Zuckerberg or like what's his name in the social network, AE Pi, the Jewish fraternity. But anyway, so we shot it at the AE Pi house. And the whole idea was they had to throw this big party to save the fraternity and keep the house or whatever the, ridiculous plot as a setup for jokes was.
Right.
And the distributor was like, the last party, that's depressing. Who wants to go to the last party? Who wants to see the last party? And then like later that year, apparently like this art film that really was depressing came out called The Last Party.
So you couldn't use it.
No, he convinced me not to. And he's an Italian guy, the great Marco Colombo. I'm always in debt. Marco, wherever you are, thank you.
Yeah, Marco.
He said, no, Assault of the Party Nerds. Like in that, I can't do the Italian accent, and I said, oh, I kind of get it. And there was this other movie that was
Assault of the Party of Nerds.
Yeah. There was a movie that came out right around the same time called Assault of the Killer Bimbos.
Perfect.
And I said, oh, okay. And I mean, that became it. And by the way, and I'm glad this Revenge of the Party Nerds podcast, so many people have said to me, oh, Richard, I love your movie, Revenge of the Party Nerds. And I stopped correcting people. It's like people that pronounce my name wrong. It's like, who cares? So
Siri pronounces your name wrong.
well, I mean, how much do you want from AI?
I'm just
AI
saying.
isn't there yet. I mean,
Okay.
we're getting there. We're getting there. Not everybody can be named Robert Carradine and come from an acting dynasty,
Not everybody.